Today we're covering pap smears, lubrication, yeast infections, undergarments, self-breast exams, and everything in between. You guys know that these are my absolute favorite videos to film for you guys. I just feel so passionately about discussing these more TMI topics in just a BFF, big sister, sit down vibe where we're just talking. We're helping each other out in the comment section and judgment free. And there's just not enough of that out there. I am so excited to dive in. If you have not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and please give this video a big thumbs up. Take a second, click the button at the top. It takes 5 seconds and helps me out so much. Hit that like button. And if you want to join my TMI Tuesday conversations over on my Instagram stories, every Tuesday we cover lots of TMI topics. So be sure to check out my Instagram. I will link it down below. Okay, let's do it. We're jumping into the big guns and we're talking about your old pap smear. Before diving into what a pap smear is, we first want to determine who needs a pap smear and at what point. My gynecologist recommended that I begin getting pap smears either when I became sexually active or at the age of 21, regardless of if I was sexually active. Essentially, anyone who has a cervix needs a pap smear. So what is a pap smear, you ask? I'm glad you asked. When you head to your gynecologist's office, it's typical to get an annual pap smear. When I head to the gynecologist's office, typically I will first pee in a cup and then head into the room. They will usually like weigh me, check my vital signs, and then I will get undressed, sit on the table, wide open, and it's scary the first couple of times. I can't lie to your face because especially the first time, you don't know what's about to happen, and I think that the anticipation is worse than what is actually happening, if that makes sense. At this point, your gynecologist will likely begin to make small talk. Mine usually asks about the weather. She's like, oh, it's cloudy out. And then she will use what is called a speculum, and she will kind of nudge the cervix open a little bit and take a little sample of cells, and then they will run that out to a lab just to be sure that everything's looking good down there. In my personal experience, pap smears typically last 3 minutes from beginning to end. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 2 or a 3 on the pain level. I'd say it's more so just uncomfortable than painful. For me, because I got a pap smear before I was sexually active, I think it was a little more, it was all the more jarring and shocking where I was kind of like, oh my goodness gracious. But it was fine and it allowed me to ask my gynecologist some questions that I was unsure about. It's really just not that bad at the end of the day. You just gotta pull up your big girl panties and make it happen. Speaking of panties, this leads us to our sponsor for today. I could not be more excited. The enthusiasm that I have is real. I am partnering up with Parade. I have become such a fan and I'm just so grateful and honored to be working with a brand who I really stand behind, and I'm so excited. Parade is an incredible brand created by a Latin woman who wanted to see a difference in the industry. She set out to make a sustainable brand, an inclusive brand, while still being an amazing, super soft, luxurious brand, and she did just that. Your girl was a 32G, okay? It's hard out here to find bras that really work for me, that make me feel comfortable and sexy and beautiful, and I found it. I have been loving the matching set of this sexy silky mesh. This is in the shade Sandcastle, and it is see-through, baby girl, and it is really something to see, okay? I love the shade on my skin tone. I just feel very pretty in it, but I still feel sexy. You know, you got a little nipple peeking through. It has a really thick band underneath the ladies to keep everything up and lifted. And of course, it has 3 hooks in the back. You know I am a 3-hook minimum girl. And it's got the thick straps, not Natalie's Secret thin straps, okay? It's incredibly stretchy, but snaps right back to its shape, and it's got the matching sexy undies. And it's made from 95% recovered fabric scraps that would typically just be thrown out, so it's an incredibly sustainable brand that I just, I feel so passionately about this, can you tell? And I have to mention this because it just thrills my soul. Okay, remember when we were 8? Remember when we were 8 years old and we would have that underwear and it would have like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It'd be like the days of the week underwear. Introducing. So Parade came out with a grown-up sexy girl version, and it's so cute, you guys. It truly takes me back and gives me so much joy. I mean, have you ever in your life seen something this stinking cute? You haven't, you really haven't. And you know I got you, girl. Check out the link in the description box down below. If you shop with my code, you can get 20% off of your entire order at Parade. Next, we're gonna talk about self-breast exams. And so we're gonna go over what a self-breast exam looks like as well as what you are looking for. So the key with a self-breast exam is you're gonna wanna head into the bathroom and be looking in the mirror. I recommend doing this every month because you want to be able to notice and see the changes. The better you know your body, the better you're gonna notice if there is a change. So you're standing in the mirror, looking in the mirror, you're naked. You're getting comfortable with yourself. So you wanna take 3 fingers of the opposite breast. So if you're examining this breast, you're gonna be using this arm, and you wanna take them, slowly start at your nipple and work your way around with firm to medium pressure all the way around, okay? Then you're going to lift up your arm and you're going to do that exact same thing again, okay? Because when you have that movement, it can move around some tissue and you might be able to feel something that you wouldn't have felt the first time around. You also want to examine all the way up into your armpit as well as your collarbone. And yes, I am sweating. So you want to be feeling around in this area as well as along your collarbone. And then you would do the same thing with the opposite side. Now you might be saying, okay, cool, got it, but what am I looking for? So you're looking for abnormalities. And I think that the more you do it, the better you will get at this because you become familiar with your breast tissue. My gynecologist always tells me that mine is very dense and fibrous, and someone else's might not be. So the better you know and understand your body, the better you're gonna be at determining if there is something abnormal. You're looking for changes in shape, size, texture. That would maybe be something like a dimpling effect. And if you do notice anything, take a deep breath and simply set up an appointment with your doctor. I think it is so important to be an advocate for your own healthcare. If you notice that something is wrong, put your foot down, set up that appointment. Not to be dramatic, but it truly might just save your life. You already know what time it is. Let's talk about lube. So in my experience, okay, just my experience, when I talk to friends of my age, they're like, lube? Oh, like, that's for old people. Or like, that's when you have a problem. Let's go ahead and nip that right in the butt because that is not the case. Lube is amazing and it is your best friend, okay? We do not always use lube, but from time to time, it's lovely, it really is. So this one is one of my favorites and I always talk about it. I talked about it recently. It's from the brand Playground. This one is called Date Night and it is a water-based personal lubricant and the scent is champagne and vanilla essence. It smells like actual heaven. It's not sticky. It's a very water-based lubricant, quite literally, and it can be used with condoms safely. And it's got some adaptogens to kind of fire things up down there. Do not sleep on the lubricants, my friends, okay? I don't care if you're 25 or 70. Check out the link below. Thank me later. We're gonna wrap things up in a neat little bow by talking about vaginal discharge. This is a topic that I had no idea about. So, and I'm in no way, shape, or form putting down my mother, but it was just something that I had no idea would ever happen to me. And I just remember so vividly Googling like, jelly clear substance, what is happening? Like just being like, oh my gosh, like I'm dying. And this just in, vaginal discharge is normal. On an average day, your body will create anywhere from 1 to 4 milliliters of vaginal discharge. It can vary depending on where you're at in your cycle. It can vary person to person, but that's a reasonable amount. Typically, discharge is a thin mucousy material that's either clear, white, or a slightly barely yellow tint to it. It should not cause any itchiness or irritation, and it does have a smell, but it shouldn't be a bad smell or a bad odor per se. We've talked about this before here on my channel, that the vagina is self-cleaning. It is a self-cleaning oven. Vaginal discharge is simply mucus and bacteria, and that mucus helps to clean on out that vagina, girlfriend. Of course, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria, and that good bacteria helps to keep everything in balance, but sometimes it can go out of balance. When one kind of bacteria grows too much, then it can create a yeast infection. That's kind of a whole topic for another day, but I do kind of want to go over those signs to look for if the discharge is not doing well. That kind of gives you a heads up that there could be a sign of an infection. Extremely thick, white discharge that's almost kind of like cottage cheese-like in appearance. A drastic change in what your discharge typically looks like. It's possible to have pain during urination, and of course a bad odor that you notice throughout the day. I always like to conclude these videos by saying this is a safe place for you to ask questions and this is a safe place for there to be no judgment. So if anyone like is saying something nasty to someone else, like I'm just gonna delete the comments. I really want this to be a safe space for you guys. So please feel free to ask if you have any other questions about any of the topics we discussed. Maybe you have a question about birth control, whatever it may be. We're all here to help each other out and for this to be a place of no judgment. If I don't have the answer, I will try to point you in the right direction, but I definitely recommend consulting with your gynecologist on any specific questions that you have. Biggest of thank yous again to Parade for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check out that link in the description box down below for 20% off of Parade. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye guys.